I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now today we're reading from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 14. Let's focus on verses 21 through 23. For thus says the Lord God, how much more it shall be when I send my 4 severe judgments on Jerusalem, the sword and famine and wild beast and pestilence, to cut off man and beast from it. And yet behold, there shall be left in it a remnant, who will be brought out, both sons and daughters. Surely they will come out to you, and you will see their ways and their doings, and then you will be comforted concerning the disaster that I have brought upon Jerusalem, all that I have brought upon it, and they will comfort you when you see their ways and their doings, and you shall know that I have done nothing without cause, that I have done in it. Thus says the Lord God. Now, once again, Ezekiel receives a visit from some of the exiled elders in Babylon. And we might assume that these elders would be in better shape than their counterparts in war-torn Jerusalem, but that would be a false assumption. They too worshiped their idols, even though it was in secret, but they worshiped them in their hearts. No doubt living in Babylon brought its own sources of temptation to idolatry, which was just the standard fare of the day over there. There was no peer pressure to worship the God of Israel while you're living in Babylon. One thing is sure, idolatry cannot be hidden from God. You can't say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, God sees into your heart, and He reads us like a proverbial open book. Idolatry is a covenant violation, and as such, it is cursed. Idolaters are guilty of separating themselves from God, the opposite of what it means to be covenanted. To be covenanted means to be attached. And since the idolaters had cut themselves off from God, all the while attempting to have the best of both worlds by hiding their idolatry, well, God cuts His covenant with them. You cut it off from me. He literally released them from the covenant. Hey, do what you want. Go fend for yourself. And now with God's face against you. And what if a true prophet is enticed into accepting a bribe that the idolaters offered? Well, then he too is cut off. The lure of money could entice even true prophets. And many Christian workers' usefulness has been curtailed by the love of the idol's bribe. No wonder Paul addressed this with his protege Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, Paul said this, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil." Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. You know, God purifies believers so that His true people might emerge bearing the covenant relationship of fellowship with Him. As He promised, they will be my people and I will be their God. Undoubtedly, this whole process must have deeply hurt Ezekiel personally, because God concludes today's chapter with a word of encouragement. Hey, there will be a remnant. Even if Ezekiel's listeners were initially skeptical about the fairness of God's actions toward Judah, when the second wave of exiles joined them, they would see that God's punishments had been right for the ungodliness of these people. They would be consoled regarding the disaster, and they would testify to the rightness of God's actions. Will the same be said of us whenever God is finished sifting America? More importantly, will Americans say that the Lord was right in allowing our country to suffer in order to expose and to dispense with our idolatry? I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And yes, we need your monthly support. Donating is secure, and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, another way to help is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. Share these podcasts with friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.